The most recent development is that the Home of Football, the Trinidad and Tobago Home of Football, which has been controversial, for lack of a better expression. A lot of people have expressed their thoughts very openly about what they think about it. But the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Keith Rowley, recently announced that the facility was given to them to use as a COVID-19 facility. What are your thoughts on that?
I have absolutely no problem with it. And listen, we all have to play our parts, be it individually or companies that we're involved with, or with our communities and loved ones, in getting out the other side of this pandemic as best we possibly can. I think the government taking over the Home of Football, which was not being used, listen, the controversy around it's all related to whether they had the correct permissions, etc., to open the facility, as they had done back in October and early November. But once those issues were put to bed or dealt with, I think the government should be commended for then using it as a step-down facility after this pandemic. We all have, as I keep saying, we all have our roles to play. And while we have facilities such as this being underutilized, it makes sense to use it for the greater good of our communities.
Yes, correct. It's a as I said at the beginning, it's a global pandemic, and oftentimes, Trinidad and Tobago has been guilty of, abandoning facilities that that don't fit people's political ideals. And we try to stay away from politics and keep the conversations pure here, but sometimes the topics are unavoidable and they do cross paths. But in this particular case, the particular situation that is taking place transcends all those things, and it's good to see something like this taking place, because there's a lot of uncertainty in Trinidad and Tobago football. We all know the well-documented problems we've had since January. The elections, the contentious elections, people disagreeing, people agreeing, people pro, people against, the FIFA normalization committee coming in. A lot of people agree and disagree, and unfortunately the COVID-19. So this is a pleasant surprise, and yeah,
it is. Listen, football has its role to play. We all have our roles to play, and regardless of what you make of the political situation around our football, like I say, one day we'll be out the other side of this pandemic, and football will continue. Whether it's professional football, which we normally talk about, or whether it's international football and World Cup qualifiers, whenever those may roll around, or our youth and development programs, they will all restart one day. And until then, we've got to make the best use of our assets.
So just to add to that, Prime Minister Keith Rowley further added that the private sector would be funding it. So what are your thoughts about the private sector getting involved and helping out with a facility like this?
Credit to them. There was work to be done, which is why the previous administration had not reopened the facility in their first 4 months in charge. And just as we have our roles to play as individuals, whether it's quarantining as best we can, whether it's better serving our at-risk members in our local communities, or whether it's just putting our hands in our own pockets to fund some of these initiatives and challenges that continue to plague our communities and our frontline workers. Companies similarly have a role to play, and as I think they should be credited for stepping up in the manner that they have, because the stronger we come out the other side of this pandemic, the better we are, not only as individuals, but as corporate bodies.
Just a reminder, everyone, for more episodes, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, interviews, and content.